portion of the day, and then we get to cut you loose, and you can go home and just take a nap. Who's an introvert? Anybody introvert in here? Introvert? Yeah, okay. Yeah, and there's one. Yeah, true. Just nod. I get it. Like, when I go home in the evening, I tell my husband and daughter, I was like, I love you all, but don't talk to me. I like, we do this every day. I was like, I love my job. I love being around my students, but more in a smaller capacity. So if you are an introvert like me, I understand that you might need to get away from your family too today. But we've got a little bit more information to give you. And then there's a resource browse right after this outside. And we do appreciate you being here and sticking out this day with us, because again, we know it's a lot of information. So first, I'm going to turn it over to our counseling center. If I can get there you go.
I came at the wrong time yesterday, so I forgot that I was first in the second half. Hello, my name is Morgan Conley. I work in the Counseling Center at Marshall University. I'm a counselor, but I'm also a coordinator in that office. And so I'm just going to go through our services so you have an idea of what we offer. Your students have probably already heard from us today, but we like to share the information with you. So the Counseling Center, all of our services are completely free. We offer individual counseling as well as group counseling and skills-based workshops. We have walk-in appointments available every day. So you don't have to have an appointment. If a student is struggling, they can come over, they can talk with someone and be seen. We offer but in-person and virtual counseling. We also have a counselor who is on call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Yes, even in the middle of the night, even on the weekends, even on the holidays. I have already done my rotation for this summer, so I'm off until the fall semester. Thank you very much. And we have a case manager that can help students get coordinated to services that they need on campus. We also have a psychiatrist and a nurse practitioner that will see students for medication. So if your child is already seeing a counselor and being seen for medication, but you live several hours away or maybe even states away, and you're worried about coordinating that care, we have a lot of students that will transfer to us throughout the semester, and then in the summer will transfer back to their primary care person, just for consistency of care. So if that's something that you think would be of interest, we can help coordinate that. We have a lot of outreach events throughout the year. Our biggest one is probably We Are Here For You Day. A lot of our students struggle with food insecurity or maybe hygiene items, so we give out free t-shirts are probably the most popular. They go very quickly. Free detergent, hygiene products, snacks. We cater a meal that day for students for free. We have a lot of other vendors and people that provide services come out and meet with students. We also hosted the Men's Minority Mental Health Concert this past semester, and just a lot of fun small things to help students learn more about self-care, relationships, being able to communicate. A lot of students struggle with assertiveness when they first come to campus, so being able to talk to your roommate, just a lot of conflict resolution, things like that. And then we've recently started a new program, so if your student is an athlete, called Be Heard. Athletes have the same services available to them, but due to their schedules that they have, having to travel, having practices, it was hard for them to get connected to counseling. And so this program is located in the Cam Henderson Center, and it has counselors that are specialized or trained in how to deal with issues more related to athletics, and they do a lot of team building and things like that. So that is the basis of our services. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them for you.
I think the key word with Morgan is the basis of their services. They do so much. The past few years, we know that mental health has been large with all of us. Our students have not been immune to anything going on. And our campus counseling center, our behavioral health clinic that you'll hear a little bit about from, too, they have worked so hard with our students to make sure that they have the resources. And like Morgan says, yes, they do the counseling, but they also are amazing at connecting your students to all the resources on campus. And we're glad that we have the new social work case management so they can help with that too, because we know that, yes, the counseling is important, but we do want to make sure that they have all the resources. But yeah, the counseling center is one of the backbones of this campus to make sure that our students are supported. And they also work with our faculty and staff to make sure they understand how to take care of themselves, because our faculty and staff are on the front lines working with your students, and it can be a lot when we're seeing students in each day and some of their issues. So we do really appreciate the counseling center. So I will briefly talk about academic advising. Sarah Davis is actually across the street working with students now, because some students are going through their academic advising rotations, and she is the director of our undergraduate advising. So all of our undergraduate students have an academic advisor. It could be, most will have a professional advisor, and that is somebody that is there to keep them on track to graduate. Like Chris mentioned earlier, the goal is to graduate within 4 years, take 15 classes a semester, or possibly summer classes, but the academic advisor helps guide them through it. Sometimes students think, oh, I've got to go to my advisor because I've got a hold on my account, I need it off my account so I can register. Well, that's true, they have to do that, but it's not a punishment. It's to make sure they're taking the right classes. Because when you heard from Jean Ann earlier, she talked about how students need to make progress towards a degree, make sure they're taking the right classes. That's what the academic advisor will do, because we want them to get their financial aid, and we want them to graduate, close to 4 years, or what's right for them. And so encourage them to reach out to their advisor early, so they can ask them questions. Why do I have to take this class? What does this mean? And so they are taking the right classes. They'll work with their advisor. Your students will have access to their degree works, which helps make sure they're taking the classes. But say they look on their degree works and something looks wrong. Then they talk to their advisor and say, hey, I took this class in high school, or I'm transferring this AP class in, and their advisor can work through it. So encourage your students to talk to their advisor early. They should have met somebody in their college today. It could have been the advisor they're going to have, or they might meet their advisor later. But if they look in their MyMU, possibly now, but definitely closer to the start of school, it'll have their advisor's name and contact information, and they can start reaching out and asking questions about what they're taking and why they need those classes. That's just a little snippet about academic advising, but we want family members to know that this is a resource for your students to help them keep on track to graduate. Now we'll move to David Nelson, who oversees our behavioral health clinic.
Good afternoon. My name is David Nelson. I am an assistant professor in the MSW program, as well as the director of the MU Behavioral Health Clinic. Morgan and Nikki and Candace and the whole gang down there in the Student Counseling Center do a remarkable job of working with your students. And we're happy that we can just sometimes fill in the gaps whenever you need us, so we're happy with that. The MU Behavioral Health Clinic was opened in 2018 as a state licensed community behavioral health center. We just happened to be on the campus at Marshall University. We did that so that our MSW students could get some additional trainings. They needed trainings under independently licensed social workers that could have private practice. And there's not very many in the state of West Virginia, and we just happen to have 3 in our MSW program. So that we can provide that additional training for their licensure. We provide services to the community as well as some of the students, but primarily to the community. So we have pediatricians and we have court systems that refer. I think we got 6 5-year-olds from a pediatrician in the last 2 weeks that we're working with in the clinic. We also have teenagers. We have drug court for the adolescents that we provide services to. We go out to select school systems. We went out to Hamlin Elementary and Ranger Elementary for about a year and provided services in the classrooms for a lot of kids down there in Lincoln County. We helped open a medication-assisted treatment program down at Boone Memorial Hospital called Brighter Futures. That was in the middle of the pandemic. We still went and we still provided services and helped them get up and running. We do a lot of support to some of the programs on campus, whether it's physically or monetarily, to try to help provide those kinds of things that they might need just for support. And we provide free services to any alumni, faculty, staff that might need services. They can come to our clinic for free. And so that's just another thing that we do as part of that. As far as the substance use disorder population, we know that about 10% of any population will have issues and be an active addiction at any given time. Hopefully none of your students will reach that point in their life. However, if they do, we're a part of that treatment process as well as that. We did write all the policies and procedures a couple of years ago to provide medicated-assisted treatment out of the clinic. That was put on hold, but my understanding is that they're telling us to look at that again. And God's kind of funny in the things that he gives you to do sometimes, because for some reason I'm really, really good at writing policies and procedures, but I really, really hate it. And I despicably hate writing policies and procedures. But I've helped open about 10 clinics, 2 here in West Virginia and then about 8 over in Ohio. And so for whatever reason, I'm good at it, but I despise it at the same time. So if you know anybody that family members of our students could come to the clinic and things like that as well. We know that not every boyfriend or girlfriend or spouse or significant other of your children will be a student. So if those are issues and concerns too, then they're welcome to come to the clinic as well. So just reach out. I just say reach out as early as you can so that we can get involved as early and quickly as we can.
Thank you, David. One thing I will add is when David mentioned about supporting initiatives on campus, right in the fall when we came back from March 2020, that Paula Reimer, one of the professors there that writes a lot of grants to support social work department, but also the campus, said, we need something to make sure that students have a resource at their fingers. And so she purchased something called Wealthtrack, and it's an app that you can download. Anybody with a Marshall email can use it, so your students have Marshall emails now. Or if you're an alumni from Marshall, you can use it. And you just put it in there, and it's a wellness app at your fingertips that you can do, anxiety test or wellness little classes. Because she said we need to make sure that our students have something, access to the resources on campus, but if they're not here and they're not physically walking over to the counseling center, just something that they can have. And so encourage your students to download, if they go in their app store, Wealthtrack, and use it, because they can do those things, share them with a counselor, or even if they just need, a self-help day, they can do some of those things. But we do want to make sure that students have access and understand that Wealthtrack is something that they can use, and we do appreciate Paula and David and everything the social work department does for our counseling center, but our campus and our students. Okay, moving on for student support services.
Hello, my name is Zachary Jenkins, and I'm a counselor with Student Support Services. We are a federally funded TRIO program. If you've heard of Upward Bound or Talent Search, it's kind of the college level of that. And we offer a plethora of services to 200 students that are first-generation low income. And to apply for the program, you can just go to Marshall's website and search SSS, and our application's housed there. We offer a lot of services like study skills, time management. We offer free printing and priority registration. And I was a student in the program, and growing up as a first-generation college student, sometimes there's several obstacles you have to overcome, and you might not have mom or dad to be there to help you, so that's what we're there for, like a network of support. And Bonnie was my counselor, and she's my supervisor currently.
I'm an alumni of Student Support Services. It was a great program. It was my home away from home when I was on campus.
And if any of your students are first gen, or maybe they have friends coming that are first generation students, we have an amazing network of faculty and staff and programs like Student Support Services that support our first gen. And I know that they'll be out there at the browse. So if it's something you think that your student wants to, be involved with, they can work with them to apply. They really do take care of, everybody here takes care of their students, but Student Support Services really does. They do a lot of events. I know there's free printing. There's just different, so many opportunities for their students. And we've talked a lot about all the different spaces on campus. We've heard about the Lead Center, where Corey will talk about a space for your students to be. But Student Support Services has a great space in Pritchard Hall, where their students are always hanging out, on the computer, sometimes just sitting in there, just being there. And so just know that if that's a program that you think your student would benefit from, reach out to them, because it's a wonderful resource. I was going to say something else that popped in my head. I don't know. It'll come back.
And their graduation rate is one of the best on campus.
Yeah.
Skyrocket.
They're amazing. You all are amazing. Now we'll move on to our Office of Student Conduct, and I always have to say this because Lisa and I have been together for a long time, but she takes care of me, but she also takes care of my husband, and she knows when I don't want to cook dinner, and she just knows. She's brought food and said, hey, take this to Billy. So I appreciate her for work and also for taking care of my husband.
Michelle, you really got me in trouble yesterday. Nate came to see me, and I have to do something for him now, so thanks, Michelle.
Billy's going to be jealous. He's gonna be like, nope.
I know, Billy's going to be jealous, so I'll have to do something for Billy, too. As Michelle said, my name is Lisa Martin. I'm the Director of Student Conduct, and you probably are thinking, what does that mean? That means that I handle the code of conduct for the institution. And the code of conduct can be found on our student conduct website, and that is our address. We have 6 standards that we expect for students to abide by. Each one of those standards has different sections, and it runs the gamut from academic dishonesty to violating federal, state, and local policies, or also the policies at the institution. And what we do is we say, does a student violate our code of conduct? And what we're looking at is our administrative policies. We're not looking at a law that they violate, but did they violate our administrative policies at the institution? So the code of conduct can be found on the website, but also we have these at our table that's outside at the browse. And these are our procedures of how the conduct system works. Please take one of these for your student, because they're not going to pick one of these up, but please take one of these. You can take one of these. We have several of them so that students can understand what our process is like. So my staff came to me and said, we need to up Corey today, because Corey's coming right after me, and so he plays a little game. So we have a game out at our table, but nobody wants to play it. So we're going to make Corey play the game today. And my assistant director is going to be the person that Corey has to see, because Corey violated, allegedly, a policy at the institution. I love it, Corey. Corey is the youngest member of our team, and so everybody picks on Corey a lot. So this is Michaela, who's our assistant director, and Anastasia, who is our graduate assistant.
All right, so Corey, thank you for coming in today. If you could roll so we can see what we're meeting about. Vandalism, oh my goodness, so you moved right into the residence halls and decided you needed to break a window. So just tell me a little bit about why you did this.
Yes, you had vandalism yesterday.
So this is a repeat offense, is what you're Somebody owed you some money. All right. Well, go ahead and roll this so we can see what the outcome of your meeting is. Your second offense meeting. So we actually found out that this time it was a window and you pulled the fire alarm. So we got to get some more information. So we had to follow up. Go ahead and roll again so we can see what the next outcome is. Yes, so we did get video footage of you in fact breaking the window and then also pulling the fire alarm and saying, "They'll never catch me, give me my money." So we do find you in violation for breaking these policies. So go ahead and roll to see what your sanction is because of this. No cheating.
It didn't work yesterday when you tried to do that either.
Restitution, yeah, so
You got that yesterday too.
Yeah, you will have to pay for the broken window, but also the fee that the fire department charges for coming out. So now, you do have the right to due process if you think we were unfair, biased, or you have new evidence that you'd like to present that you think will change the outcome. You do have a right to appeal. All right, well, let's go ahead. Why don't you submit your appeal and we'll tell you if it's going to go forward or not.
I did. I feel like I'm on the Price is Right.
You're not going to get a car.
Can I just say I take rent for $1?
No.
I don't want
No. Just roll.
So, your appeal was denied because once again, we do have the footage. But thank you so much for participating in the conduct process. We look forward to continue working with you. Good luck on midterms.
Corey was denied yesterday too, so you better not go to Vegas, because you're not going to win, that's for sure. But that was just a little sketch to show you what our conduct process is like. Well, I can't talk today. What our conduct process is like. And your students will have due process. As you saw, Corey had an opportunity to come in and give his side of the story and what happened. And we just don't take a report. We do and say, oh, you have a sanction. We talk with the student. We see what's going on, what is happening with the student. So as you can see from the little exercise, Corey did have a little bit of due process. I know it wasn't a lot, but it was a little bit, Corey, for this exercise. So that is our student conduct process. We also have a complaint incident system that students, faculty, and staff can, if they have an incident that has happened, or they feel like they're being harassed, or they feel like that something is going on, that they need to write a report about someone, then they can fill out that form on the website, and that is also on our website. As Michelle was saying last night, 9 o'clock last night, we're texting each other because we got a report last night, so it doesn't stop in the summertime. And what Michelle doesn't know, because we haven't had a chance to talk today, is the professor actually came to see me today as he sent me an email at 9:30 last night that I didn't text you back about. So we have a student that we have to deal with and work some issues with the student out. But we will be out in the browse later this evening, and you can come by and you can play the game too and tell your students that you went through our conduct process.
Thank you, Lisa. One thing I'll say is, conduct process seems scary, but the goal of it is that students, not that we want them to make tons of mistakes, but if they make them now, then we want them to learn from it. Go through Lisa, work with Michaela to figure out how do you learn from that, because it's better to learn now where they can be educated than later in life. So just encourage your students to talk to Lisa and Michaela so they understand the conduct process and understand anything that they need to do, because that's one of the most important things is learning from their experiences. And now, moving on to Corey Cunningham, who showed up today. Sorry, Corey, it's not your show anymore.
It's not. I guess it's not. How y'all doing today? Long day, huh? Long day. I know they got y'all out for a long time. I'm sorry about that, folks. But folks, literally just looking at everybody coming in, it reminds me when it was time for my orientation, me and my dad went up here. Of course, we came late. Tip for you all, but it's too late now. You all have already been here, so that was a tip, but we came late. But just looking at everything and looking at everyone and how nervous everyone was and just stressful, just thinking about, how things are going to be in this new journey for college life. And it's a nervous one, and it can also be stressful. But it's a journey nonetheless that is better for the students, but also for yourselves as well. So, HAP.org also had a great stat that shows that most first-time freshmen, 70% of them have experienced severe homesickness, and some of that is just due to, like I said, just being stressed out, but also just being nervous about this journey. So for my parents that are in here today, how many of you feel like you're more nervous about your student's journey than the actual student? How many of y'all feel that? Okay. I got some things to help y'all a little bit, all right? Who had their hands up? Here you go. The husband was looking, he was looking, who else? Now some of this lemon bite got a little pep on, all right? Yeah. Who else got it? You got it right here? Here we go. Look here. Oh my God. Look, oh my God, we're doing good. All right. This lemon gotta have a little pep on it. Here we go. Get me right, folks. Here we go. Oh my God. I may not did them dice right, but we got this right here. All right. But no, folks, literally, we got there for you all. So definitely a little stress ball, because like I said, this could definitely be stressful. And you're probably wondering, why is this guy giving out lemons and the guy with the crazy hair? What is wrong with this kid? But folks, my next question is, how many of y'all feel that a strong social network can also support your student, not only from their social circle, but also help them be successful in college? How many of y'all feel that a strong support network can do that? All right. So, let me talk to you all about Greek life, about the Office of Fraternity and Sorority life. The Office of Fraternity and Sorority life is dedicated to making a positive impact on campus. We strive to do everything in our power to make our students successful. One of those things to invest potential effort and time into making benchmarks for our students for their organizations. Most of our organizations are national organizations. Second, our students invest time and ample opportunities to be about something bigger than themselves. Keyword, note that I said invest. There's been this whole little opinion where you probably all heard it, where Greek life is about paying for friends. That's silly. Look at it as an investment for your students' social circle, experience, and roles for not only their collegiate life, but after their collegiate life. Look at it as an investment, folks. Because for our Greek students, we have certain characteristics that make our Greek students our Greek students. The first one is leadership. Our Greek students take a lot of pride in leadership and being leaders on campus. If you look at it for our past 2 student body presidents, they've been a part of Greek life. I'm a part of Greek life. Ms. Lisa Martin is a part of Greek life. Our head football coach is even part of Greek life. We all have those leadership capabilities that we've learned being a part of our Greek organizations. The second is education. We all know that you sent your kids here to get their education. We want them to get their education as well. Most of our student groups for our organizations, at the minimum, you need a 2.5. Some of them 2.75. We also are highly invested in their education, and sometimes we have scholarships that'll pay for books and everything from them, or their national organizations have scholarships that'll pay for it because we're highly invested in their education. Next is membership. We know that students are going to develop at different times, but we also know that students have their own vibe. We know that. We want your student to feel comfortable developing in their own box of how they feel. We know that variety is key. That's why Golden Corral is still open. Variety is always key. I can tell y'all that now because you've already ate lunch. So that's okay. Now, with those characteristics, we also have reasons why we have those certain characteristics, and that is for opportunities. We want to give your student the opportunity to go to a business conference on behalf of their chapter. We want your student to go to a retreat. We want your student to have all these different opportunities that we can provide them while they're still a college student. Next is networking. We want your student to be able to network with everybody that we have, not only in our alumni base, but from a national base for their organization. So networking is also key. Next is service. We are highly dedicated to service, not only our campus, but our community. Looking at the data that we just looked at, our Greek students are 2 times more in our community service efforts than the average student. We're clearly dedicated to our service. Now, an example of this, of things that we do, literally, we had a young man, sadly, he lost his mom, and I know he was feeling like, he probably didn't even want to go to school anymore. But the way our community wrapped our arms around that young man, and to see him flourish, to become not only Mr. Marshall, but also to be the president of his organization, and then he also went on to graduate, is truly one of the things that you don't get in a receipt, folks. That comes from right here. That comes from the heart, folks. So that's when I tell you all, do you think a strong network can flourish you all? Well, it can. It can flourish for your student. I've seen it happen. I'm a product of it myself, folks. So I know it can be true, folks. So before I stop talking to them, folks, I just want you all, like I said, to remember this, and I want you to repeat after me, folks. L. Leadership. E. Education. M. Membership. O. Opportunities. N. Networking. S. Service. Folks, that spells lemons, and that's why you see me with these lemons in these pills, folks. So I want you all to remember, and I want your students to remember, when life gives you lemons, always remember to go Greek. Folks, my name is Corey Cunningham. We don't have everything out there, but you got a card, I'm here for you.
Hello, I'm Katerina Schrey. I'm the director of the Center for Student Success, and I love my job. The best part of my workday is associating with students, and I strive to make every interaction a productive, affirming, uplifting, and energizing event. I owe that to your kids, and I owe that to you. I work with Jay Rader. He usually does this part with me, but he's not here today. You may recognize Jay if you're from the local area, from the local soccer community. Jay is an amazing colleague who works really well with students. And between Jay and myself, we have 4 kids here at Marshall. So my heart goes out to you, moms and dads, parents, grandparents, guardians, siblings who've invested a lifetime of love in our incoming class, and for some of us, this transition can be really hard. My oldest is a senior here at Marshall. There she is the first day of preschool at her high school graduation, and the day we moved her into dorms, this was pre-COVID, and I know you all have the same pictures of your kids at home. My son started here in the fall of 2020, which was a really, really weird year. His graduation was very different from his sister's. That middle picture is his drive-through graduation at Huntington High, and then a little later that summer, there's the socially distant graduation later. So if you have older kids, you probably recognize some of these scenes. This next picture is Jay's son, who graduated from Winfield last year, and again, a socially distant graduation, which brings us to May. This is my third kid who's going to be part of the incoming freshman class. Is anybody here from Huntington High? Anybody here have kids at Huntington High? Doesn't look like it. I was going to say, if you did, then you might be in the background of this picture, because this is just a couple weeks ago at the graduation ceremony, almost normal, close to normal graduation ceremony. So we show you these pictures not because we're proud of our kids, we certainly are, but we show you these pictures because when we say we treat every kid as our own, we really do. We understand the sacrificial love that it takes to get your kid to college. And we also understand that as much as it's a transition for your son or daughter, your child, it's also a transition for you, depending on this first kid, second kid, third kid. I had a really hard time taking mine to preschool, and I had a really hard time taking mine to college, and I work on campus, I live 2 miles away. I cried like a little, not outright, ugly cry. I mean, I have to do that too. But there's like the little, the sadness, the little, my heart is breaking because my child is growing up. It's probably took me till mid-October to not feel that really strongly. And that's actually a good thing. It's a reminder to me that I'm blessed to have a great family. I'm blessed to have these kids. And so, in any case, Jay and I promise to be there for your children. We promise to be behind them on their best days and in front of them on their worst. The last thing we want, the last thing you want, is a scenario where a student falls into the category of some college, no degree, lots of debt. If that happens, Marshall has done nothing good for you. We've left you worse off than before. And so everything that we do at the Center for Student Success is to work against that. We are actually located between Zach and Morgan's building and David's building. So you have Pritchard Hall, East Hall, Gullickson Hall. We're all right there. And we often talk to each other. Our units are often very much in contact. So we have a couple of things I would like to share with you really quickly. Our number one message to students is don't college alone. Don't do this alone. We all get there by someone else's grace. We all help each other to get to where we ultimately need to be. And given what's happened with COVID, even the most extreme introverts really now are craving some kind of human connection. So one of the ways we do this is that we run the East Hall Learning Hub. This is one of the happiest places on campus. This is a place where students gather to study individually, in groups. We always have free snacks, we have free printing. There's always something silly going on, people debating whether a taco is a sandwich or whether cereal is a soup, and goodness knows what else. But it's just a very happy place. It started in the fall of 2020 when students were very much isolated and needing a place to come find community. And basically about 205 students make this regularly their home. This year we're proud to say we have a retention rate of 100% for those 205 students. So when your child gets to campus, if he or she are there looking for a place to hang out, please urge them to consider East Hall. We also have a FAM peer mentor ready for your child. We have FAMS stands for Friend at Marshall. It's our peer mentoring program. And from the minute a student gets to campus, there's someone there to answer any questions they might have, point them to any resources they might need, and kind of show them the ropes around campus. Here is a picture of some of our returning FAMs. If you're taking tours today, you might recognize the woman on the bottom column, Michaela Marshall. She's one of the tour guides that's working today, so she may have been your tour guide. She's one of our FAM peer mentors. Also, the student Corey talked about, who became the leader of his Greek organization, he was one of our founding FAM peer mentors. So these folks will be joined by our incoming cohort of FAMs. They will be reaching out to your children by email, phone, text, or in person. It really depends on what the student prefers. So at some point in the first week of classes, your son, daughter, your child will get an email from someone claiming to be their FAM peer mentor. That's what that's all about. And so they'll be there for them for the remainder of the school year and into their sophomore year. If you are bringing a transfer student to Marshall, they also will have a FAM peer mentor. Another thing that we're doing to build community this fall is setting up intercultural dinner groups. These are free dinners. We're looking at a series of, I think, 5 dinners on Tuesdays. We're still working out the details, but it's a chance to break bread with someone from a different culture, a different part of the country, a different background, whatnot, and we're very, very excited to see where this goes. We are also really excited to be doing math and chemistry preparedness workshops. We called this COVID catch-up last year, but we kind of want to downplay the name COVID and all these things, so we're renaming this to either going to be a math and chem quick start. And if your child has any of these classes on his or her their schedule, so Chem 111, Chem 205, Chem 211, Math 127, Math 130, Math 132, please consider urging them to sign up for these workshops. So the whole point of this is this. Despite the Herculean efforts of our high school teachers who did everything they could to prepare our children for college, we know that we have students coming in nervous about their preparedness in these specific classes. I'm an English professor. I can easily catch you up on whatever it is that you missed in high school. That's not hard for me to do, but it's a very different story with the disciplines that rely on stacked knowledge, on prerequisite knowledge. So last year we put together these workshops. We got our absolute best faculty to teach them, and we had a lot of fun, and it was wildly successful. Last year we were able to provide dinner and textbook codes and things like that. We're still working out the details. I'm not sure if we'll be able to do that again, but we will be able to hold the workshops. The nice thing about these workshops is that they happen during the first 2 weeks of the semester. So this is a time where everything is unfamiliar, new, and strange, and everything just seems so hard and intimidating. And what we found was that, look at this, this is taken within 4 days of us doing this. Within a couple days, all of a sudden you have friends, you have people to talk to. You feel a little less lonely, a little less strange, a little less abandoned out there in this whole new environment. And so please, 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 if your children have those classes on their schedule, encourage them to sign up for these workshops. They will receive an email from me to their Marshall email inviting them. So there's nothing they need to do to initiate the process, just to react to my email. If you can, please take a picture of this slide and text it to your child. That would be great. The number one thing on that slide is the number one indicator of freshman success. We have decades worth of data showing us that freshman success, that class attendance is a better indicator of freshman success than high school GPA, ACT scores, or high school class rank. And that's actually great news, because all those things are in the past. You can't go back and change your ACT score. You can't go back and change your high school GPA. But deciding to faithfully attend class is almost always within a student's control. And if something happens that you can't attend class, then get in touch with someone who cares about you. In this case, it would be the Center for Student Success, but it could also be anybody who you reach out to here on campus. So the number one thing is to please, please, please attend class. Checking Marshall email regularly. It's amazing how many times problems start because someone missed an email. So if you could just gently remind your child that checking email is an important part of being a grown-up, that would go a long way. And the rest of this is things that I've already talked about. So to end, Jay and I work with the people on this panel and the panels before regularly. And I've been here for 25 years. I've seen these folks go to the ends of the earth for our students, and I'm so deeply grateful for that. So as a Marshall employee, but more so as a fellow parent, I promise to honor the love you've invested in your child by bringing my best every single day. Thank you for choosing Marshall.
Okay, guys, we're about done. The last few slides, just to stay connected to us. If you are a Facebooker, the Marshall Family Facebook group, I think it's called Parent and Family Facebook group, but just search it online. It's a closed group where you can connect with other Marshall family members. It's only for parents and other support systems. Students have their own Facebook group that they can connect with. That's where you can ask questions, like I said, connect with other family members, and just really get questions answered. Staff from Marshall man it, and so you post something in there. A lot of times the other family members might answer it before we get to it, or sometimes we might reach out to you directly if it's something that we feel that you might need a little more individualized information. Student Affairs, Twitter, you can go in there and you can follow it and see all the different events that Marshall has to offer your students, and then encourage your students to go to those events. If you're local, you can come to those events too, because a lot of them are open to the community. And then my email and Kat's email, so you can just stay connected with us. And then last thing is the Parent and Family Weekend that we have September 30th through October 2nd. And that is when we invite all our family members to come in, go to a football game, tailgate, different activities. Kat loves planning this weekend. She's so much better than I am at planning anything fun. And so she gets very excited about it. So registration probably will open on August 1st. And we'll put it on the Facebook group. We'll send emails out to your students. We'll get emails saying, hey, share this with your family. And we definitely want more people, like as many people to come as possible. I think last year we had about 600 family members with their students in. So we love it when family members come to this. And with that, I'm done. So if you have any questions, ask away. And we really do appreciate you being here today. We know it's been a whole lot of information, a long day of you all sitting here, and so we just want you to take care and know that we have the resource browse outside where you can ask these individuals and other resource departments questions, and we will be here if you have any questions. So if you have any now, I'll open it up, but if not, enjoy your day. So any questions? Nobody ever does. It's the end of the day. You're like, I will. They're like, you've given us our contact information. Stop talking to us, and we'll figure it out later. So we appreciate you all. Thank you all, and have safe travels home.